the beginning. The head of the Rhode Island chapter of the Hells Angels has changed his plea and will serve time in prison.
The case stems from a broad daylight shooting 2 years ago that investigators say happened because of a fight between the Hells Angels and another man.
Target 12 investigator Tim White was at court today. He joins us now with the exclusive details.
In September, Joseph Lancia told the judge he wanted to take this case to trial, but today in Providence Superior Court, he pleaded no contest to 3 charges in a plea deal with prosecutors. Lancia was sentenced to 5 years in prison. With about a dozen full-patch members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club in the courtroom on hand, 30-year-old Joseph Lancia changed his plea from not guilty to no contest.
All right, first of all, what I want to speak about is this particular chapter of the Hells Angels in Rhode Island. Joseph Lancia, the president of the Hells Angels Club in Rhode Island, changed his plea on Friday after reaching a deal with prosecutors. He's 30 years old, and he appeared in the Providence court with about a dozen members of the motorcycle club wearing their full-patch jackets. He pleaded no contest to the charge of felony assault and battery, as well as carrying a gun without a license. The more serious charges of discharging a firearm when committing a crime of violence and assault with intent to commit murder were dismissed as part of the deal. Okay? Investigators said video surveillance shows Lancia shooting at the truck as Starnino was driving by the Hells Angels Providence headquarters. That video, the main evidence against Lancia, was from the clubhouse's own security system. Basically, this guy that he shot at was a former prospect. It had happened in June of 2019. He fired a gun at a truck driven by Richard Starnino, once a prospect to join the biker club, who was involved in an ongoing dispute with Lancia. Basically, what I want to speak about is the fact that these motorcycle clubs are still very active. I mean, these Hells Angel guys are still in effect. They still wield a tremendous amount of power. They still have a huge presence in the dope game, especially when it comes to like crystal meth and things of that nature. He's 30 years old, and he's the head of the entire chapter in Rhode Island. I think I'm not sure if he's just the head of the Providence chapter, but Rhode Island is such a tiny state. I'm pretty sure that he's the head of the entire Rhode Island chapter in general. But what I want to speak on is the fact that these Hells Angel guys are very active all over the United States, and one of the things that I think they made a mistake in doing is showing up to court to support him. I think that now that they got the president of the club out the way for 5 years, I think they're going to start investigating the rest of the club because they're being bold. Anytime you challenge law enforcement by doing things like showing up to court to support your fellow gang members, that's basically like enticing them to investigate you. So I wouldn't be surprised if later on down the line we find out that this Rhode Island Hells Angels chapter will be, hemmed up in some sort of RICO, down the line. Generally speaking, when violence happens, that's when the feds and that's when state law enforcement really puts down heavy resources to get you. It's bad enough to be selling drugs, but once you start committing acts of violence and attempted murders like this guy in this particular club, that's when you get investigated. And the fact that these guys actually showed up to court to support their leader, I think that was a bad move.